We made a change in game, and Kenny will start this week. A lot of things to be excited about, fluid and quick decision-making.
Touchdown, Pittsburgh! Kenny Pickett!
Pro-like anticipation and things of that nature have proven to be true.
Kenny Pickett's throwing that ball to Freiermuth.
We got a formidable opponent this week. We know them, they know us. There's an expectation of quality play and playing to win.
I just think it's the attitude in which you go about it. You guys, everyone else thinks we're underdogs, but we don't. So, we're going to go in there with some confidence. We know how great we can be when we're detailed and we execute at a high level. So that's something that we need to take care of, during the week, or we won't have a shot.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. I am Missi Matthews. There you heard from the Steelers' new QB1, Kenny Pickett. A lot to digest as the Steelers and Bills get ready to go at it for the 4th straight season. Welcome into our show, our panelists. We have Dave Dameshek from the Extra Points Network and also Matt Williamson from Steelers Nation Radio. And guys, the Kenny Pickett era is here. So what are we expecting for this first start, the first week, Dave, that he's getting all of the practice reps and the preparation to be the guy?
Well, it's suddenly, based on what we saw in those second half minutes last week, we suddenly have gone to must-watch TV, right? Even if it's not exactly perfect all the way through. Quick shout-out, by the way. You hear the voice of Billy Hillgrove. Just like Kenny Pickett, all the celebration about him going from Pitt to the Steelers. Billy Hillgrove's been doing that forever and literally predates me. I'm an old man myself. I remember listening to him in my earliest days, calling those Pitt games way back when. Oh, it's just marvelous stuff. But yes, I'm very excited about the dawn of a new era here. The Pitt kid now getting his crack at this thing. I'm over the moon about the possibilities at minimum.
Matt, do you think the Steelers' offense is going to change at all now that he's the starter?
Not drastically. I mean, in terms of schematics, they've installed these things all through camp. I'm not picking on Trubisky, but there was a lot of plays left on the field, route concepts that worked where the ball didn't come out. I think they're expecting Pickett to let it fly, and I don't think he's going to be bashful whatsoever. So it might look different, but I think the design is still the same. They got a lot of good weapons, and the offensive line shaping up pretty decent already as well.
And by the way, I don't expect that, and we saw again, first half versus second half last week, I don't think Matt Canada was making wholly different play calls or otherwise same personnel out onto the field with Pickett and Trubisky, and yet you saw a different human being making different choices in those same spots, more aggressive, more decisive, delivering the ball in what would appear optically to a covered man, still delivering the ball to George Pickens a couple of times when it seemed like he was covered up pretty good. Those back shoulder throws he made were pretty juicy, I think, and cause for optimism for Steelers fans.
Matt, is it fair to say to support a rookie quarterback making his first start against the Bills at their place at Highmark Stadium, getting the run game going, something we've been wanting to see more this season anyways, but seems like the perfect time to try to bring it all together?
Without question. You want to lighten his load. There's no doubt about that. This is a really stiff challenge against an excellent football team that might be the best team in the league. I'm not sure if they're better on offense or defense. So there's no easy gimmies here at all. It would be wonderful to make your defense's life a little easier by running the football, as well as your rookie quarterbacks. There's no question about that. I think they're capable of getting it done, and I liked how they started the first quarter, how they came out originally last week. They brought out Watt and a lot of heavy personnel on offense and kind of established the physicality. Maybe we'll see that again. By the way, the Buffalo lives in nickel. If you bring out big personnel, they're going to be a nickel. If you bring out light personnel, they're going to be a nickel. So you might have a bully advantage with some big people.
Loved seeing that I formation, Matt, last week with Derek Watt in front of Najee. Yeah, I do think, and I've been saying since the week one victory that obviously TJ Watt went out of, that I obviously love Coach Tomlin's standard is the standard, but the approach can't remain the approach when your best player and one of the 5 best players in football is out of the mix there. You have to be a little more aggressive on offense. You have to scratch out a few more points than you otherwise might. I almost feel a little bit bad for Trubisky in the sense that you didn't see a lot of that aggression until the second half in the first spot that Pickett was in, 4th and inches on the Steelers side of the field, and they go for it. It felt like Coach Tomlin and the rest of the staff suddenly recognized, we got a rookie in there. Let's give him a shot at this and play a little more aggressively, and going for it on 4th down maybe is an indication of things to come.
Matt, Coach Tomlin made it very clear pulling Trubisky to replace him with Kenny Pickett was not just based off of Mitch's performance. The offense as a whole, we've seen the struggles throughout the season. What does Kenny Pickett go in do for the skills players, specifically the wide receivers?
I think he's a more aggressive decision maker. I think he's a more accurate ball placement passer. Those 2 things could be enough. I do think that there's a greater chance that mistakes are made with the rookie than Trubisky, and that could spiral downhill, especially on the road against such a strong opponent. But he lets it fly. And if you think about it from a coach's perspective, and you grind all week, 100 hours of work, don't see your family, and you devise a play against a certain coverage, and that coverage comes up, and your quarterback doesn't let it fly, that makes his coaches nuts. Pickett's going to let it fly.
Dave, in terms of the next stretch to get to the bye week, the next 4 games, not an easy task, of course, as you said, starting in Buffalo with a very good team. Is it fair to judge Kenny Pickett over these next 4 games, or are you with Coach Tomlin where, hey, we're not grading on a curve, it is what it is?
Well, I never liked strict teachers, and people who would just attendance counts as a B. That's the kind of teacher I like. Yeah, I'm grading Pickett on a curve a little bit, but I can't jive you and say that I'm not frustrated by the fact that the Steelers aren't sitting at 2-2 right now. If they were in this division, when you know that the Ravens or Bungles are going to be 2-3 by Sunday night, and the Browns have a decent shot of also being 2-3. This is a division that can be, if the Steelers can somehow, it feels borderline miraculous at this point, to go 2-2 over the next 4 here. If they can do that, the division's in play, and so grading Pickett and the long-term ramifications of how he looks, to some degree, obviously, and reasonably, have to take a back seat to winning games right now, at least. Now, if they wind up 1-7, then the premise of the season kind of changes. But right now, it's all about trying to scratch out however they can do it, knuckleballing their way to a victory, just like they did in week 1 a year ago with Roethlisberger under center. Why can't that happen again just because the number's 14? Kenny Pickett, I guess I like the mindset. No, we don't consider ourselves underdogs here. And like Matt says, I think if you're a pass catcher, all of a sudden with Kenny Pickett in there, it didn't go the way you would hope, the default to Chase Claypool, but I thought that was an indication of where this offense is going. He's going to give you a shot to make a play on that, and I think over the course of time, with the pass catchers that the Steelers have, that's going to win more than it's going to lose. You just got to make sure the ball doesn't get picked off on those 50-50 deep balls. The guys who do that best ensure that the worst result of the 3, catch the pass, drop the pass, or get it intercepted, that the worst option doesn't happen.
Matt, the Bills defense also dealing with a number of injuries similar to the Steelers. What do we need to know about the group that Kenny Pickett and company are going to be facing on Sunday?
They're exceptional. They're really well coached. They live in nickel. They don't allow big plays. Their front 7 is very, very impressive. They almost have 2 hockey lines of exceptional defensive linemen for their 4-man front. They go 9 deep in that group. Milano and Edmonds are on the field all the time, and they kind of quarterback the whole thing. The secondary is a little light right now, but the front makes up for it. It's a very stiff challenge. And how about this number? This is remarkable to me. In second halves of games this season, they've faced 20 different drives. They've allowed points on 1 of them.
So start fast is what you're saying for the Steelers offense.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, in the third quarter, the Bills are outscoring their opponents 44-0.
I mean, it's daunting stuff, but I will say that I think the thing that Pickett gives you, and most rookies tend to give you against a nasty pass rush or otherwise, and I thought we'd see more of it from Trubisky, is take it off with the ball. He made a couple of big plays with his legs. I think you are going to hope to see some of that when the pass rush is bearing down on him. Rookies tend to, when they see pressure in their face, tend to split and try to make a play that way. And maybe that's a reason to, or a cause to be a little optimistic about what we might see here. But I do think pedigree, I think Matt's right. They are light on the back end right now, are the Bills. And, you hope pedigree wins out there. That's a position of strength for the Steelers, obviously. And you hope that a couple of special plays or a few special plays against a banged up secondary can be the difference here.
All right, well, it's time now for our Yins Chat trivia question of the day. It, of course, involves Kenny Pickett. Over, under, passing completions 20.5. Dave, what do you have?
I think that the situation, which is to say that they're likely to be trailing for big stretches of this game, is going to force the Steelers' hand. They're going to be throwing a lot, so I'm going to go over.
Matt?
Yeah, I as well. Maybe he'll complete 7 or 8 balls in the fourth quarter against, I don't want to say prevent defenses, but a defense even on it in the first quarter that's designed to take away the big play. They'll give you a lot of the underneath stuff. So, yeah, I think he gets to 21.
All right, now it is time for our Week 5 opening lines across the league, presented by Unibet Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're in Pennsylvania and are ready to place your wagers on any of this weekend's matchups, just download the Unibet PA app or simply visit pa.unibet.com. We have much more coming up here on the Matchup Show, including how do you defend Josh Allen? Coach Tomlin suggested building a fence. We'll see what our experts have to say. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. Let's talk now about the Bills offense. You have to start with Josh Allen, and Coach Tomlin said he is an elite creator, among other things. Dave, what's the biggest challenge when you're facing a guy like this?
I go back a decade when Colin Kaepernick made the scene, and I talked to Terrell Suggs and some Ravens defenders, and I talked to Ike Taylor and some Steelers defenders, and I say, how do you take that away when a guy's trying to run the RPO and get on the edge and attack the defense like that? And I was stunned by the answer. They said, you got to hit that guy hard and early and break his will from trying to do that. And I said, well, that can't be in 21st century pro football the solution, to hit a guy hard. And I think that is the answer. I think the Bills as a franchise know that it's not wise for 17 to be running around and getting smacked around week after week. That's not good for the long term for them or even for the remainder of the season. I think if you can deliver some decisive blows, physical ones, to the franchise quarterback, maybe that takes his will away, the play caller's will away to run around any design plays for number 17 there. That's a good place to start if you can take that factor away from him.
Matt, they were able to do it last year, week 1. They also had TJ Watt, though, after he just signed his mega contract. How do they do it now, knowing that the defense isn't what it was last year?
Yeah, and last year they threw a lot at Allen, and it was very successful. Having Watt sure helps. There's no question about that. I'm with Dave. I think you have to take a very physical approach here. I remember when Cam Newton came here on a Thursday night, they almost didn't care about McCaffrey and drilled Newton time and time again. They do the same thing to Lamar a lot. But I will argue Allen's a better pocket passer than those guys. A traditional passer than those guys. I think he's the most talented quarterback on the planet, and that includes Pat Mahomes. The one thing I would concentrate on, though, is taking away his number 1 receiver, and that's Stephon Diggs. They're searching a little bit right now for secondary pass catchers. They don't have a traditional run game to lean on. They've gone through a lot of different offensive linemen. So if you could take his right arm away, or the guy he leans on in Diggs, no matter what, and let the other guys beat you, I think you have a chance.
How do you do that? Who do you put on him?
Steelers been doing a lot of man coverage lately, and unfortunately they're a little banged up in the secondary. I think it's, they go left, right with their corners, the Steelers. They're not going to have somebody follow Diggs. So wherever he lines up, though, I think you need to bracket him with either a linebacker or a safety, take away the quick slants, help over the top with Minka, make it pretty obvious that the defense is leaning his way.
Dave, the Bills and the Dolphins game, I think everybody was watching for a number of reasons. What did the Dolphins do to slow them down so much where they almost won that game?
So much talk about the heat. And by the way, Acrisure Stadium gets nice and cold. All the crying from the NFC North fan bases about we need domes on our stadium. It's too cold for football. Now we learned from the Miami Buffalo game, it's too hot too. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that information. That was the excuse that we heard for Buffalo supporters, was that it was too hot out there for their guys that day. I also think that the Dolphins, while it may be nationally a little bit of a no-name defense, it is a talented bunch there. Better up front than I anticipated them to be. Real strong on the back end. The Steelers, given the injury situation, probably not as rugged on the back end there. No TJ Watt. I don't know that there are any applicable lessons about what the Dolphins defense did that the Steelers can pick up. Matt, is there any Brian Flores connection with talking to his old pals down there and saying, what did you guys do and what can we take from that?
Miami's a unique defense in that they play a ton of man coverage by today's NFL standards, like 50%, which is an awful lot. And they're very blitz happy. They're very aggressive. And if you can beat the blitz, so be it. And frankly, that's the defense that Coach Flores created. They kept all that after he left. I mean, what he did there was very impressive. The problem with that game, though, is it's about as fluky of a game as you're ever going to see, in that the losing team ran about 100 plays. The winning team ran like 35. If they replay that game 100 times under those circumstances, the Bills probably win 98 of them.
All right, who else do we need to know on their offense besides Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen?
Again, they're searching there. Singletary's really taken over the backfield. They've been detaching him a lot lately in the slot and out wide because they're trying to create more pass catchers. They were counting on Gabe Davis to be the true number 2, and he's playing a ton of snaps, but he's got an ankle. He's not getting consistent separation. Crowder was going to be the pure slot machine. He's out. So they're going to probably go to Isaiah McKenzie, but he's battling an injury as well. He's more of a gimmicky after the catch type player, and Dawson Knox is the tight end, but he didn't practice on Thursday again too. So that portion of the team and along with an offensive line that I think is league average, not high end, not low end, is a little bit of a concern. And no team besides maybe the Ravens asks more of their quarterback to be Superman every week than Buffalo.
Was just going to say, I think that's the cop there, is that what you're looking at with these, matter of fact, the Bills could have been 2-2 right now. Instead, it's the Ravens. Those two guys are carrying those offenses right now. James Cook, by this point in the season, I think some people expected him to pop a little bit more in that offense. He hasn't done anything for the Bills so far. I am interested league-wide, though, in the copycat league, if we're going to start to see more feature backs out on the field at the same time. It feels like we're tracking that way. That would be an interesting play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as a matter of fact, with Najee Harris's ability to catch the ball and putting Jalen Warren behind Pickett. Fascinating stuff, and I wonder if that'll be employed at some point there in the season.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for your time. Steelers and Bills Sunday, 1 o'clock at Highmark Stadium. It has CBS's A Crew. Dave, as you said, I think a lot of eyes will be on this one with Kenny Pickett getting his first NFL start. Thanks, everybody at home, for watching. This is the Matchup Point presented by Unibet. We'll see everybody next week.